in Madagascar. And when we say isolation, we mean geological isolation on a scale that is almost impossible to grasp.
I mean, it's just a number that's so big.
It is. Think of it. A massive island, a mini continent, really, separating from Africa, floating off alone in the vast Indian Ocean, and then just spending nearly 90 million years evolving its own separate timeline.
And the result is spectacular. It borders on the impossible, really. It's an alien world built of these, strange creatures and landscapes that look like geological fever dreams.
Exactly.
We have source material covering everything from stone forests sharp enough to slice your skin to giant trees that look like they were planted upside down.
Our mission today is a deep journey through this extreme isolation, designed specifically for you, the learner. We're not just summarizing here.
No.
We are extracting the most compelling nuggets of insight on how isolation fundamentally shapes life. We're focusing on the sheer scale and the strangeness of the evolutionary outcome.
So we'll explore the bizarre evolution, the resilient human adaptation, and then, and this is where it gets really interesting for me, we will transition to its geological opposite.
The Comoros Islands.
Exactly. Madagascar spent 88 million years perfecting stillness. The Comoros, on the other hand, are creating land through constant, fiery volcanic creation.
So we're really looking at both ends of the deep time spectrum. We want to understand both the process of ancient isolation and immediate creation.
So strap in. Our journey starts in the West, and I think it's the place that most immediately shocks your system into realizing you've landed on another world.
It really does.
The defining feature, the thing that immediately signals this separation, is the baobab tree.
These are the silent ancient sentinels of Western Madagascar. They have been watching over this land since way before humans ever arrived. Some specimens are clocking in at well over 1,000 years old.
1,000 years.
And what's crucial to understand about their morphology, their appearance, is that evolution here was driven purely by the necessity of survival in an increasingly arid environment.
They look so otherworldly. I love the description in the sources. Their massive trunks ballooning skyward, looking twisted, almost as if their roots are reaching for heaven. It's truly the definitive upside-down tree.
And that appearance is purely functional. They're specialized giants. They are, in effect, living water tanks.
Right.
Our sources detail the truly impressive capacity they developed to survive the long, punishing dry season of this region. And the core insight here is that each trunk can hold around 32,000 liters of water.
32,000 liters. That is an entire swimming pool's worth of liquid in a single organism.
It is.
It just puts the term ancient survivor into a real, tangible context. That's the definition of biological redundancy.
Exactly. When we talk about how isolation created unique solutions, the baobab is Exhibit A. But this leads us to the poignant and tragic context hidden in the island's most famous photograph, the Avenue of the Baobabs.
Ah, yes. The iconic image we all know. It looks like an ancient forest, but the sources remind us it is anything but.
It is described quite accurately as a graveyard.
A graveyard.
For millions of years, these giants stood within a massive tropical forest that covered this entire region. But isolation also creates vulnerability. And when humans arrived less than 2,000 years ago, bringing with them agricultural practices and a need for farmland, well, the local ecosystems had no natural defenses against the systematic clearing that followed.
So the forest was just systematically decimated for cultivation over the centuries, and yet the baobabs survived. Why? What saved them?
They were spared only because the first people who settled here, the Malagasy, recognized something sacred, something deeply spiritual in these towering, life-giving shapes.
So it wasn't a practical decision, it was a spiritual one.
Completely. They were venerated, often seen as ancestors or spirits, and thus they were culturally protected.
That is a profound insight. So isolation created the vulnerability, the lack of natural defense against farming, but it also fostered a unique cultural conservation mechanism. That reverence, that sacredness, it's not something you often see on the mainland with such intensity.
Right, and it allowed these specific massive trees to stand as these stark visual reminders of the incredible deforestation that occurred. It's a preserved snapshot of loss.
A perfect articulation of the human cost on an isolated ecosystem.
And this loss sets the stage immediately for the difficulty of simply moving through this unique landscape. I mean, even today, traversing Western Madagascar requires constant ingenuity and a deep commitment to the journey.
You see this perfectly illustrated at river crossings, like at the Simonempetsatsa River.
Yeah.
We're just so used to concrete bridges that let traffic glide smoothly.
Of course.
But in remote Madagascar, that infrastructure, it simply doesn't exist.
No, you're faced with these remote crossings where the sources detail the necessary act of faith.
An act of faith, I like that.
The only way across is via these flat, barely seaworthy wooden vessels. You have to drive your entire vehicle, a ton of metal, onto a platform that looks like a couple of planks tied together.
And then just hope for the best.
And then rely entirely on the operators to pole or winch you across the current. It's not a quick ferry ride, it's a commitment. You are accepting the isolation, the lack of modern connectivity, and relying entirely on human ingenuity and skill to deliver you safely.
That willingness to adapt, using ancient methods to solve modern problems, seems foundational to the Malagasy spirit.
It really is. And that reliance on resilience perfectly prepares you for the next geographical wonder of the West, the Singi de Bemaraha.
The stone forest. I find the geology of this place absolutely captivating. It just rises from the earth like nature's own razor wire. It's a visual manifestation of geological extremity.
And the word Singi itself translates as the place where one cannot walk barefoot.
A pretty good warning.
A very direct one. This entire landscape is a classic example of tropical karst topography. It didn't just appear this way. This area was once a massive, flat layer of limestone that formed beneath an ancient sea.
Okay, so what carved it into that famous, terrifying, razor-sharp structure we see in the photos?
Water. Specifically acidic rainwater. Over millions of years, the water permeated the soluble limestone, dissolving it and carving deep, vertical canyons below the surface.
So it carved from the inside out, almost.
In a way, yes. And as the subterranean caves collapsed, it left behind the incredibly dense, jagged pinnacles we see today. Pinnacles so sharp that they can, as the sources note, slice through human skin with the gentleness of a scalpel.
And we are not talking about small rock fields here. The scale is terrifying.
Oh no, some of these towers reach up to 70 meters high, creating an endless labyrinth of stone blades.
70 meters, that's like a 20-story building.
Exactly. And from above, the sources describe it looking like the earth itself cracked open and revealed its teeth, a defense mechanism built by erosion.
It's an environment that completely dictates human behavior. Our sources note that it's a place where GPS becomes essentially useless.
Because the only direction that truly matters is movement across the vertical plane, up and down.
So what was the response of the first people who lived near it? How did they interact with it?
They simply avoided it. For generations, local villagers considered the Singi too dangerous, too impenetrable, and often, too haunted by spirits to enter.
So it became a taboo land.
The landscape was so hostile, so utterly unforgiving, that it was relegated entirely to the realm of legend. It became a natural fortress built by isolation and erosion, protecting the unique life hidden deep within its canyons.
It sounds like a perfect hiding spot for creatures that didn't want to be found.
Precisely. And that forced total adaptation. To access the interior for research or limited travel requires truly precarious pathways.
The rope bridges.
The swaying rope bridges, stretching sometimes hundreds of feet between those towers. Crossing one is less about transport and more about a psychological test, just inching across the air above a world carved by ancient, relentless forces.
Okay, so leaving the razor-sharp stone behind, we move south into a world of soaring granite Andringra National Park. The character changes, but the challenging terrain remains.
It does. You see the shift from that soluble limestone to immensely hard, weather-resistant granite peaks that just pierce the sky. These stone towers have been watching over the land since before continents had names.
It's a place where the air is thin, and the landscape feels monumental.
But as you descend, the environment softens dramatically. It gives way to these soft, green lower valleys.
And it's here, where the landscape relaxes slightly, that we truly meet the result of Madagascar's 60-million-year evolutionary experiment.
The true rulers of the island.
The lemurs. This is the ultimate case study in how isolation explodes biodiversity.
Absolutely. We need to ground this in the concept of endemism. Endemism means the species is found nowhere else on Earth, and the lemurs are the definition of this concept.
100%.
They evolved entirely separately from the rest of the world's primates, resulting in over 100 different species.
And the why is the important part here, right? It's not just that they were isolated.
No, it's the absence of competition. On mainland Africa, primates like monkeys, baboons, and apes dominate the canopy. They are fierce competitors.
So when the lemurs arrive...
When the lemurs arrived in Madagascar, likely via ancient floating vegetation mats, which is the best geological theory we have, they found an empty world. No other arboreal primate was present. They didn't just survive, they radiated.
They filled every single ecological niche imaginable.
Every single one. And before they disappeared into legend, our sources remind us that some weren't the small, delicate creatures you might picture.
No, there were giants.
There were massive gorilla-sized giants, the Archaeoindris, that dominated these highlands before they vanished, likely due to a combination of climate change and human hunting. But even the survivors show this incredible, quirky adaptation.
Let's talk about those personalities because they're incredible. You have the famous ring-tailed lemurs sunning themselves on the rocks.
They're the socialites, and the most visually striking. They practice what's essentially sun worship, stretching out on smooth rocks with their tails raised like living flags catching the sunlight.
Is that just for warmth?
It's partly for warmth, but it's also for social bonding. It's a sophisticated community behavior.
Then you have the gravity-defying acrobats, the Sifaka lemurs. They are genetically wired for leaping between vertical trunks, but when they hit open ground, they have this charming, almost absurd solution to movement.
They hop sideways. It truly looks like nature's own ballet troupe, a combination of dance and slapstick comedy.
It's so strange to watch.
But it's evolution's compromise. They are highly specialized for vertical clinging and leaping, with these long, powerful hind legs and short forearms. When they're forced onto the horizontal savanna, this bipedal side hop is the most stable and energy-efficient way for their specialized bodies to move forward.
It's a perfect visual metaphor. Evolution doesn't have to look graceful, it just has to work.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me is the sheer breadth of adaptation. You have the twitchy, nervous energy embodied by the bamboo lemurs, just fidgeting and perpetually worried about threats only they can perceive.
And you can contrast that nervous energy with the red-ruffed lemurs.
The masters of relaxation.
Totally. They're often found just draped across branches, sometimes upside down, like living velvet cushions, basking in patches of sunlight with the utter contentment of creatures who are completely secure in their environment.
And finally, the largest of them all, the Indri. With those wide, human-like eyes.
Yeah.
It looks like it has the permanent expression of someone who just witnessed something absolutely shocking.
It really does.
The Indri is unique. It's one of the few primate that doesn't build a nest. It sleeps clinging vertically to a tree trunk. But its most famous feature is its song.
The babakota.
Right. Their territorial calls are this haunting, almost operatic wail that travels for kilometers through the dense forest, defining their ancient territory.
This biological museum continues deeper south, shifting the geology yet again as we move into Isolo National Park. We move from granite to these dramatic sandstone formations.
The sandstone here is soft, easily carved by wind and water, resulting in formations that rise like ancient natural castles. And what's fascinating is the source of the rock. This stone once lay beneath ancient seas.
Wow.
Now it forms structures like Fenetra de Laisalo, the natural window carved perfectly into the sandstone.
It's a perfect portal, framing the endless landscape beyond. It's like the island is constantly reminding you of its vast, deep history, acting as a geological frame for what emerges at darkness.
Which brings us to the creature that seems to embody the strangeness of Malagasy evolution more than any other.
The eye.
The eye.
Part spirit, part predator. It has those bulging eyes that catch the minimal light and that truly signature skeletal finger.
The eye's hunting method is a masterpiece of specialized evolution, driven by isolation. It has filled the niche usually occupied by woodpeckers and certain rodents. It is the world's only known primate that hunts via percussive foraging. Alien middle finger to rapidly tap against tree bark up to 8 times per second.
Wow!
It's essentially using its body as biological sonar, listening intently with its enormous, highly sensitive ears for subtle changes in the echo that betray hollow spaces or the movement of grubs within the wood.
So it's not just tapping, it's diagnostic tapping. It's reading the tree.
Precisely. And once it locates the hollow chamber, it's rodent-like, constantly growing incisors, another specialized trait, bore a hole into the wood. Then that same skinny finger, which is articulated with a ball and socket joint, is inserted to hook and extract the grub.
It's an ambush hunter built on sound, dental mechanics, and a ridiculously specialized digit. Just incredible.
And if the lemurs are the dominant life form, the chameleons are the true masters of visual and mechanical precision. The sheer concentration of species here is staggering.
It's the world's chameleon capital, right?
It is. Half of all the world's known chameleon species live on this island. They range in size from the Brachysia micra, which is barely larger than your thumbnail, to giants the size of a house cat.
And their adaptations are pure technical marvels. Let's start with the eyes.
Their eyes are turret-like and can move completely independently of each other. This allows them a 360-degree scan with literally no blind spots. They are processing two entirely different visual feeds simultaneously.
One looking for lunch, one looking for trouble.
You got it.
Yeah.
They're constantly surveying their surroundings. But the true perfection comes with the strike, the tongue mechanism.
The speed is unbelievable.
The power and acceleration are immense. The tongue fires out using elastic energy stored in specialized muscles. It reaches the target in milliseconds, accelerating at up to 2,000 meters per second squared. That's dozens of Gs of force.
That's insane.
Our sources describe it as hitting targets with the accuracy of a laser-guided missile, traveling twice the chameleon's body length. It's an ambush predator perfected by isolation, substituting brute force with speed and unparalleled vision.
It seems like a world of highly specialized, largely harmless creatures, but every ecosystem needs a rule enforcer. If there are no lions, no large cats, what does Madagascar call its ultimate hunter?
That would be the fossa. This is where Madagascar's deep time evolution gets really exciting. The fossa is the island's apex predator, and it is the evolutionary answer to the absence of the typical African carnivores.
What exactly is a fossa? It looks like a cross between a small cougar and a mongoose.
That's remarkably accurate. It belongs to the Malagasy carnivore family, a group that diverged from mongoose-like ancestors, also via rafting from the mainland, about 18 to 24 million years ago.
So it's not a cat at all.
Not a feline, no. It's cat-like in its body structure, but its closest relatives are still closer to mongooses. It has a long, slender body, semi-retractable claws, and incredibly flexible ankles.
And those ankles are key, right?
They're an adaptation that allows it to descend trees head first, like a squirrel, and chase lemurs through the highest canopy with deadly precision.
So it's a fully arboreal hunter, capable of navigating the forest at speed.
It is the ghost that keeps the lemur population sharp, silent, elusive, and specialized to hunt the dominant canopy residents. It is the reason paradise still has rules.
Before we leave the wild parks, it's worth noting the ancient human presence that is weathered into the environment, too.
The Mahafali tombs.
Exactly. Scattered across the vast landscape, like monuments forgotten by time, these ancient stone markers weathered until they seem part of the land itself.
They symbolize the long history of human interaction with this landscape. These are not just graves. They are works of art dedicated to honoring the ancestors, often marked by massive stone stelae and wooden sculptures.
That resilience, that respect for the spirit of the land and the ancestors.
It's the same human spirit needed to survive and thrive here today. It's the perfect transition from the wild isolation to the heart of human adaptation.
Following that thread of human resilience, we leave the truly wild parks behind and follow the roads north, winding ribbons of red earth that snake across the endless amber hills.
These highland roads, they don't follow a modern engineer's efficient straight line.
No, not at all.
They follow ancient pathways, curving with the natural contours of the land, rising and falling through a world where time truly moves differently. These vistas of rolling grasslands, punctuated by distant villages, they remind you that the journey is often slow and requires patience.
And as these pathways lead toward more populated valleys, the landscape transforms from wild isolation to intensive yet utterly beautiful human adaptation.
The architecture of rice. This is one of the most remarkable agricultural achievements on the planet. Rice is the staff of life here. And to grow it efficiently, the Malagasy have carved fields into terraces that cascade down slopes in perfect, dizzying geometric patterns. They truly create nature's own staircase.
What's the engineering challenge of building on such slopes? It must require such complex water management.
The precision is astonishing. These terraces are designed not just to hold water, but to allow it to flow sequentially from the highest terrace down to the lowest, maximizing every drop of water and retaining precious topsoil.
And this isn't a new technology.
No, this system is ancient, rooted in traditions brought by the earliest settlers from Southeast Asia. It provides the cultural and physical backbone for life in the highlands.
And the visual impact is constantly changing with the seasons, right? It's not just one look.
Absolutely. The fields create a dynamic patchwork of colors. They are a brilliant emerald green when the rice is young and growing tall.
Then what?
They shift to a warm golden amber during the harvest time. And perhaps most aesthetically beautiful, they transform into mirror silver when the harvested fields are flooded, reflecting the highland clouds in a glassy surface.
So in remote communities, this cyclical rhythm becomes life itself.
Precisely. Take villages like Amber Delindami. Survival depends entirely on rice rituals and seasonal understanding. Life moves to this ancient clock. It is dictated by when to plant, when to harvest, and when to simply wait for the rains. The connection between the community and the crop is inseparable.
These winding roads of red earth eventually converge on Madagascar's beating heart, and Tananarivo, the capital.
Tana, as it's called.
It's built across a series of hills like an ancient amphitheater, home to over 2 million people in a country of 26 million.
The verticality of the city is incredible. It sprawls, but it climbs, embodying that fierce, tenacious spirit of resilience we've been discussing.
And what's crucial context for you, the learner, is the economic reality. Madagascar is consistently ranked among the 10 poorest countries on Earth.
Right. And yet, the city is a testament to the persistence of the human spirit, with the rebuilt Rova Palace high above the sprawl, still symbolizing royal and national power.
And that persistence leads to some really unexpected achievements. High in the hills, the name Rova has now been given to something few would ever expect from one of the world's poorest nations.
Rover caviar.
Rover caviar.
This is a story of incredible innovation. It's Africa's first and only caviar production. Just think about the logistical and environmental challenge here. They are raising Siberian sturgeon, a cold water fish, in the tropical highland waters of Lake Manazoa.
That seems like an impossibility. How do you even manage that transition?
It requires meticulous technological control and intense investment. They had to import the original stock, a massive logistical challenge in itself, and then create highly controlled environments that mimic the cool, deep conditions necessary for sturgeon to thrive and produce roe.
So it's a huge gamble.
It required expertise, capital, and the sheer audacity to attempt it.
It becomes a royal delicacy, a luxury item produced in the shadow of extreme poverty. It's born from Madagascar's ability to take a foreign element and make the impossible seem inevitable within its isolated landscape.
It's a powerful symbol of their ingenuity. It shows that isolation doesn't breed stagnation. It breeds unique solutions, often through hybridization of old knowledge and new technology.
And even as the capital thrives, that intimate knowledge of nature remains vital in truly remote areas. We mentioned Andrahai village earlier, connected to the outside world by a single, fragile dirt road.
Life there hasn't fundamentally changed for centuries. Survival still depends on that deep, intimate understanding of nature and seasonal cycles passed down through oral tradition.
It's a timeless rhythm.
A rhythm far removed from the technological achievement of the caviar farms, yet both are deeply rooted in the Malagasy ability to adapt to extreme limitations.
And even in these remote, timeless locations, the volcanic heart of the island still draws attention. The isolation itself becomes part of the appeal for modern explorers.
Yes. You can see modern quad bikes carving paths through those vast amber hills, offering a different way to experience the scale. And geologically, we find specific features like the Analevary geysers.
What are those exactly?
That's where underground water meets residual volcanic heat, creating eruptions of steam and depositing this beautiful, mineral-stained earth.
And hidden deeper in that volcanic heart is Tetriver, a lake that fills the crater of an ancient, extinct volcano.
Its dark, deep waters reflect the highland sky, seeming to hold secrets from when the Earth was young. While these features are relatively quiet today, they are subtle hints that Madagascar, despite its ancient stability, has a turbulent past, a past that leads us to its volatile, constantly changing neighbor.
Right. Not all of Madagascar's gifts are found in the highlands or the forests. Following the roads toward the coast, we find that the ocean, though vast, actually serves as the ultimate connection point.
The coast connects this isolated land back to the rest of the world, specifically through the winds and the currents that shaped the arrival of the first human settlers.
At Sakalava Bay, the ocean becomes a playground.
Right. Windsurfers ride the exact same trade winds that carried those ancient vessels to shore 2,000 years ago.
And on the beaches, we encounter residents who are true living fossils, moving at their own unhurried pace. The ancient tortoises.
Their presence reinforces that idea of deep time that permeates the island. These creatures literally carry time itself in their shells, some having lifespans reaching 150 years.
150 years.
So some tortoises alive today may have hatched before Madagascar became a French colony. They are living bridges between centuries, linking the deep time of the land to the more recent human history.
And the isolation that created the land-based oddities continues its work beneath the surface. Diving into the coral reefs here is diving into a submerged world that exists nowhere else.
The reefs explode in nameless colors, home to unique fish that dance between formations built over centuries of patient growth. The endemism, that explosion of unique species, it does not stop at the water's edge.
Why not?
Because of the vast distances from the African and Asian coasts, marine evolution here has also taken its own unique path.
Scattered across these turquoise waters lie islands that feel like small, perfect worlds unto themselves.
Name checks like Nosy Be the Big Island, rising from the sea like a green, fertile crown.
And nosy-tanically,
The small land, curving in a perfect crescent of white sand. Each is a jewel created by millennia of separation, offering even more concentrated microecosystems.
but these waters also serve as a vast oceanic highway, linking Madagascar not just to the rest of the world, but specifically to the Antarctic.
Right, every year these same waters become a track for some of the ocean's most magnificent travelers, the humpback whales.
This annual migration is truly epic in scale and purpose.
These massive creatures journey approximately 8,000 kilometers from the frigid waters surrounding Antarctica. They cross half the planet just to reach Madagascar's warm, sheltered lagoons.
8,000 kilometers. They are following routes that have guided their species for millennia.
And they come here for a critical, ancient purpose: to give birth. The warm, shallow lagoons provide the perfect safe haven for the calves to take their first breaths and build up the strength necessary for the immense journey back to the feeding grounds.
And their songs.
Their songs complex, repeating and haunting carry across the entire Indian Ocean, following routes that serve as the only truly reliable, massive biological connection to the outside world.
And it is the humpback whale's journey that guides us, the learner, to the critical counterpoint of this deep dive. As they continue their path northwest, they cross into the waters of the Comoros, a different nation, but part of the same massive tectonic drama.
Exactly. The Comoros Islands are fundamentally part of the same geological story as Madagascar, the Indian Ocean plate moving and creating. But when the whales cross this invisible boundary,
They're leaving the ancient stability of Madagascar and encountering the newborn lands of the Comoros.
this is the critical contrast. If Madagascar spent 88 million years perfecting its isolation in stillness and stability, the Comoros create their wonders through constant, rapid volcanic change.
So they're part of a hotspot chain.
A classic hotspot chain, meaning the Earth is actively, constantly building new land. We shift from deep time to immediate creation.
And you can see it right away.
The evidence of newness is immediately visible on the ground. Take the beaches of Chamonix. You have these dazzling turquoise waters lapping against black volcanic sand.
You're right.
That sand isn't ancient sediment. Each grain is a fragment of basaltic lava that erupted only centuries ago. The visitor here is literally walking on ground that was, in geological terms, recently molten rock.
That is a powerful image of instant creation. What does that kind of rapid, chaotic birth do to the landscape?
It creates unique, volatile landforms. You see features like the Dragon's Back, where dramatic rock spines, essentially basaltic dikes, forced into cracks jut out into the crystalline waters, looking like the solidified backbone